Ahead this morning, sports competition controversy. Parent advocate Erika Sanzi joining us to tell us why some feel new rules limiting transgender athletes can compete don't go far enough. The international governing body that oversees women's swimming adopted a new policy banning transgender athletes unless they transition before puberty or before the age of 12 to compete in women's events. Joining us right now is the Director of Outreach for Parents Defending Education, Erika Sanzi. Erika, great to see you. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
This new policy went into effect Monday. Some parents, though, say it doesn't go far enough. Some athletes say they're just happy some kind of policy was put in place. First, how do you think this is going to affect middle, high school, college athletics? And let's talk about the states that actually ban it altogether as well.
So it's interesting because what the international swimming community just did is very much at odds with what the Biden administration is going to likely roll out later this week. The Biden administration is planning on a total rewrite of Title IX, and we expect that to be announced probably on Thursday. And what they're going to lay out is exactly the opposite of what this international, swimming organization has laid out. So the only reason I could see this having an impact is that it could exert pressure on other organizations to follow suit. And it could also now make it seem like the United States is going to become an outlier as we move in the opposite direction. But this ruling will have no impact on K-12 schools. It will have no impact on the NCAA. And so as far as what this means for students in schools in the United States, both, again, in K-12 and also in higher education, things are going to actually move in the opposite direction for them.
And this all came, let's make no mistake about it, after this past year, Leah Thomas, who was born a boy and is transitioning, won the NCAA championship for women's swimming, representing the University of Pennsylvania. It wasn't even close. Do you see this ruling being a benchmark for all sports and not just swimming?
There are, rumors or murmurings going on right now that some other athletic organizations are going to follow suit. Now, whether or not that happens, we'll see, but certainly track and field is already something that I'm hearing about. So, but again, with Leah Thomas's win at the University of Pennsylvania, at the moment that this ruling would have it would have no impact. So it would mean that Leah Thomas could not swim in international, elite women's events. So Leah Thomas would not be able to swim against Katie Ledecky in an upcoming international race. But it would have no impact at the moment on students in K-12 and in higher ed. And again, on the contrary, what we're going to hear likely on Thursday is that Title IX, so it'll be the 50th anniversary of Title IX, I think it's on Thursday. And for 50 years, Title IX has been based on biological sex. You could not discriminate based on sex. And if you did, you would lose federal funding. But they're going to change that definition to gender and gender identity, which means that we're going to see it even more wide open for people to participate based on their gender identity. And it's also going to mean the elimination of single-sex spaces like, restrooms and locker rooms for girls and women.
And as you mentioned, this would have had no bearing on Leah Thomas because this is not for collegiate sports. I want to read what the president of the World Swimming Governing Body said about this. He said, this is not saying that people are encouraged to transition by the age of 12. It's what the scientists are saying, that if you transition after the start of puberty, you have an advantage, which is unfair. They're not saying everyone should transition by age 11. That's ridiculous. You can't transition by that age in most countries, and hopefully you wouldn't be encouraged to. Basically, what they're saying is that it is not feasible for people who have transitioned to compete without having an advantage. What are you hearing from parents and from athletes?
So it seems like right now, again, there's always going to be disagreement, but a lot of athletes, especially professional athletes, have come out and celebrated this decision. Martina Navratilova went on the record yesterday supporting this. Caitlyn Jenner who came out in favor of this. Parents seem to be quite pleased about this. Of course, again, not everybody, but certainly the overwhelming majority. Regarding the issue of, not wanting children to transition now early just because of this ruling, there are some concerns that we could see some clinicians and even parents put their children on sort of a fast track to transitioning before puberty so that their child can participate in athletics that align with their gender identity. I do think that there is reason to at least keep a watchful eye on that. But I think on balance, this is a good decision. And, we should be pleased about this and hope that perhaps, the Biden administration, during the 60 days of comments after they put out their rewrite, perhaps they'll hear from enough people and potentially change course. I'm not optimistic, but hey, a girl can dream.
All right, Erika, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.